When first assigned the Cultural Awareness Project, I immediately had an overwhelming feeling of dread. The assignment, on its face, was to immerse myself into an environment that I would not do within my own culture. After researching several ideas, I decided to attend a Jewish service. Unbeknownst to me at the onset of this project, I would wind up attending two Friday evening Jewish Shabbat services and a Jewish funeral. My background knowledge of Judaism was very limited, to say the least. Growing up, I knew my Jewish friends celebrated Hanukkah instead of Christmas and spent time playing with a thing called a dreidel. Everything else I knew about Judaism came from movies like The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston and Yul Brynner. The Jewish people are descended from Abraham and his son Isaac, and Isaac's son Jacob from the land of Canaan, who are known collectively as the patriarchs of the Israelites. The Israelites were further subdivided into the 12 tribes of Israel, each descended from Jacob's 12 sons. The Israelites left Canaan and settled in the land of Goshen in northern Egypt, but were enslaved by the Egyptians by order of the Pharaoh. Moses, an Israelite from the tribe of Levi, led the people out of Egypt and began a period of wandering in the Sinai desert for 40 years. During this time, God revealed the Ten Commandments to Moses while atop Mount Sinai. This marked the spiritual beginning of Judaism. The Israelites returned to Canaan, and the first Jewish temple was built on Mount Moriah by King David's son, Solomon. It's no secret that Jews have suffered great trials and tribulations throughout their lengthy history, and it's also no secret that the Jewish people have been shown to possess great strength and resilience during times of great strife. The rise of Adolf Hitler in Germany during World War II and his eventual occupation of almost all of Europe led many Jews to immigrate to Palestine, the United States, and the Soviet Union in an attempt to escape persecution. Unfortunately, Hitler's final solution resulted in the extermination of an estimated 6 million Jews across Europe in what came to be called the Holocaust. Following World War II, the State of Israel was established by the United Nations General Assembly and resulted in decades of civil war. Upon arriving at Temple Beth Yeshurun in Houston, Texas, I was greeted by a bright and cheerfully decorated grand hallway with many stained glass windows and temporary art exhibits. As I walked towards the sanctuary for the start of the service, my friend Debbie Levinton handed me a yarmulke, also known as a kippah, the traditional male head covering worn during Jewish services. We took our seats, and it was explained to me that it was customary to stand when the ark, where the Torah is stored, is opened and when the Torah is brought out. The two Shabbat services I attended were approximately 1 hour in length and consisted of quite a lot of music, prayers both in Hebrew and English, and a short sermon. I was much more nervous about attending the funeral service for Debbie's recently deceased mother. The funeral consisted of a very short graveside service where Jewish prayers were offered up by the rabbi. Following the service, I visited with Debbie and her family at her home. Here I witnessed the tradition of the Shiva, wherein the family and friends of the deceased gather to mourn. It bore a slight resemblance to most Protestant visitations, except for small things that probably would have gone unnoticed had they not been pointed out to me. All mirrors in the home were covered, and during a Shiva, mirrors are considered to be a tool of vanity and have no place while mourning the dead. While visiting with family, I was offered an abundant amount of traditional Jewish foods, including challah bread, latkes, and a bowl of the most delicious matzo ball soup. In reflecting upon how my newfound information could be translated into my own classroom, I can only surmise that I am now much more aware of the importance of understanding, recognizing, and empathizing with those students who come from incredibly diverse backgrounds. As teachers, we are so often entrenched in academics that we fail to include barely a mention of cultures and traditions that are considered outside the norm in an attempt to better educate our students about the world in which they live. Throughout this experience, I have a newfound respect for the Jewish people. I certainly have a lot more to learn, but I am grateful to have had the opportunity to bear witness to this most wonderful and amazing group of people.